Why were you not appreciated before 1966?
I thought I was.
By the time you get actual winning of it, are you sort of numb? You are.
Your name isn't called, and I don't know what that feeling is.
Lee Marvin was a Hollywood legend, known for his tough guy roles, deep voice, and commanding screen presence. But behind the scenes, his life was anything but glamorous. In 1966, Marvin showed up drunk to a movie set. He destroyed a prop gun and caused delays that spiraled into chaos. What followed was a series of explosive events that cost the studio millions, irreparably damaged a friendship, and left his co-star vowing never to work with him again. But this wasn't just a one-time mishap. It was a moment that forever changed how Hollywood approached its stars. Marvin's rise to fame wasn't a smooth journey. From a troubled childhood to an intense stint in the Marines, his story is filled with drama, triumph, and tragedy. Today, we're uncovering the untold story of the shocking on-set drama that revealed both the brilliance and the chaos of Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin was born on February 19, 1924 in New York City. His childhood? Anything but ordinary. Struggling with ADHD and dyslexia, Marvin found school to be a frustrating experience. Back then, these conditions weren't well understood. He often felt isolated and deeply misunderstood. His rebellious streak didn't help either. Marvin was expelled from multiple schools. One particularly infamous incident? He threw a classmate off a second-story balcony. It was clear that Marvin wasn't cut out for a conventional path. But despite his struggles in school, Marvin found solace outdoors. Weekends spent hunting in the Everglades gave him a sense of freedom and a love for adventure. This rugged outdoorsy lifestyle would later define his tough, no-nonsense persona on screen. But life wasn't all guns and grit. Surprisingly, the young Marvin also learned to play the violin, a skill that seemed completely at odds with his rough image. As he entered adulthood, World War II was in full swing, and Marvin made a life-changing decision. Against his father's wishes, he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps at just 18 years old. He dove headfirst into one of the most brutal theaters of war, the Pacific. Marvin's time in the Marines was nothing short of harrowing. Serving as a scout sniper in the 4th Marine Division, he participated in 21 battles, including the bloody Battle of Saipan in 1944. It was here that Marvin's bravery and resilience were put to the ultimate test. His unit was ambushed while scaling a mountain. Marvin sustained multiple gunshot wounds, one of which severed a nerve in his back. Most of his comrades didn't survive, but Marvin's grit and determination saw him through. He spent over a year recovering in military hospitals and was awarded the Purple Heart for his valor. Despite the accolades, Marvin's war injuries left him physically and emotionally scarred. Discharged as a private first class, he returned to civilian life with little direction. It wasn't until he took a job as a plumber's assistant that fate intervened. While fixing a toilet at a local theater, Marvin was approached by the director to fill in for a sick actor. With no prior experience, Marvin jumped into the role, delivering a performance that hinted at his raw talent. This serendipitous moment marked the beginning of his Hollywood career. Marvin's rugged looks and intense presence quickly earned him roles in westerns and war films. But as his fame grew, so did his personal demons. The pressure of stardom, combined with his wartime trauma, led to a tumultuous lifestyle fueled by alcohol and erratic behavior. By the mid-1960s, Lee Marvin was a household name. He starred in hits like The Dirty Dozen and Cat Ballou, but his success didn't shield him from controversy. In 1966, while filming a major studio production, Marvin's behavior spiraled out of control. Arriving on set visibly intoxicated, he became belligerent and disruptive. Things took a turn for the worse when Marvin accidentally destroyed a prop gun, a critical piece of equipment for the scene. The incident caused significant delays and sent production costs skyrocketing. But the damage wasn't just financial. Marvin's co-star, a seasoned actor who had worked with some of Hollywood's biggest names, was furious. Tensions between the two boiled over, leading to a heated argument that nearly came to blows. The co-star later described Marvin as unprofessional and claimed he'd rather wrestle a grizzly bear than work with him again. The fallout from the scandal was massive. Studio executives were livid, and Marvin's reputation took a hit. However, in true Hollywood fashion, Marvin managed to spin the narrative. He leaned into his bad boy image, Fans and critics alike were captivated by the drama, and Marvin's career, though dented, soldiered on. In the years that followed, Lee Marvin worked hard to reclaim his standing in Hollywood. Despite his personal struggles, he delivered some of the most iconic performances of his career, solidifying his status as one of the greatest actors of his generation. Films like Point Blank and Paint Your Wagon showcased Marvin's range, proving that his talent outweighed his reputation for chaos. But Marvin's legacy is more than just his films. His story is a testament to the complexities of human nature, the fine line between brilliance and self-destruction. The 1966 scandal may have been a low point, but it also highlighted the pressures and pitfalls of stardom. For all his flaws, Marvin remained unapologetically himself. It's this trait that endeared him to fans and cemented his place in Hollywood history. As we reflect on Lee Marvin's life and career, one question lingers. Was he a victim of his own demons? Or was his rebellious nature part of what made him great? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. Either way, Marvin's story is a reminder that even legends are human. The 1966 scandal highlighted a glaring double standard in Hollywood. On the one hand, Lee Marvin's reckless behavior was heavily criticized. Yet on the other, his bad boy persona made him a magnet for headlines and ticket sales. Marvin was part of an era where larger-than-life personalities often defined their success. Audiences were drawn to the chaos, the controversy, and the mythos surrounding stars like him. But beneath the public's fascination was a stark reality. Marvin's behavior was costing studios millions and alienating co-stars. His co-star from the infamous 1966 incident wasn't the only one who refused to work with him again. Directors and producers began to view Marvin as a liability. Whispers about his on-set antics spread throughout the industry. Yet Marvin's undeniable talent kept him in demand. For every bridge he burned, his performances rebuilt his reputation, even if only temporarily. Studio executives faced a dilemma. Should they risk working with Marvin for the sake of box office success? Or was he too unpredictable? Ultimately, Marvin's career survived because audiences couldn't get enough of his gritty, authentic performances. He was, in many ways, a reflection of the turbulent 1960s, a time of rebellion, upheaval, and raw emotion. Despite the setbacks, Marvin's career soared to new heights in the late 1960s and early 1970s. His role in The Dirty Dozen cemented his status as a Hollywood icon. The film's success proved that Marvin was more than just a troublemaker, he was a bankable star. Critics praised his ability to embody complex characters, and his screen presence became the stuff of legend. Off-screen, however, Marvin's personal life remained tumultuous. His drinking habits and unpredictable temper led to several high-profile altercations. One of the most infamous incidents? At a Hollywood party, Marvin reportedly flipped a buffet table in a drunken rage. Stories like these only added to his mystique, turning him into a folk hero for those who admired his devil-may-care attitude. Yet Marvin wasn't all bluster. Friends and colleagues often described him as deeply loyal and generous. Beneath the gruff exterior was a man who cared deeply about his craft and his loved ones. He was known to mentor young actors, offering advice and encouragement to those trying to navigate the often cutthroat world of Hollywood. The 1966 incident became a turning point for Hollywood. It forced studios to reevaluate how they handled difficult stars. Marvin's behavior, while extreme, wasn't entirely unique. Many actors of the era had their fair share of controversies, but Marvin's high-profile fallout with his co-star brought these issues to the forefront, sparking conversations about accountability and professionalism. Studios began implementing stricter contracts, including clauses that penalized stars for delays or destructive behavior. Marvin's case served as a cautionary tale, illustrating the financial and reputational risk of indulging larger-than-life personalities. Yet, in a strange twist, the controversy also solidified Marvin's legacy. The stories of his antics became part of the legend, making him an enduring symbol of Hollywood's golden age. As Marvin aged, his health began to decline, exacerbated by years of hard living. Despite this, he continued to deliver standout performances, proving that his talent remained undiminished. His later roles showcased a more introspective side, as if Marvin was channeling his own life experiences into his characters. One of his final significant roles was in The Big Red One, 1980, a war film that resonated deeply with Marvin due to his own military background. Critics hailed his performance as one of the most powerful of his career, a fitting tribute to a man who had lived through the horrors of war and emerged as one of Hollywood's most compelling figures. Marvin passed away in 1987, leaving behind a legacy as complex as the man himself. He was a trailblazer, a rebel, an artist who refused to be boxed in. His life was a roller coaster of triumphs and tribulations, and his impact on the film industry is still felt today. Lee Marvin's story is a reminder that greatness often comes with flaws. His life was marked by contradictions: a war hero who struggled with personal demons, a talented actor whose behavior often overshadowed his work. Yet it is precisely these contradictions that make him such a fascinating figure. The 1966 scandal may have been a moment of chaos, but it also revealed Marvin's humanity. He was imperfect, impulsive, unapologetically himself, a man who lived life on his own terms. For fans and historians alike, Marvin's story serves as both a cautionary tale and an inspiring saga of resilience and raw talent. As we look back on Marvin's life and career, one thing is clear: his impact on Hollywood was profound and his legacy endures. Whether you see him as a flawed hero or a reckless rebel, there's no denying that Lee Marvin left an indelible mark on the world of film. The co-star who famously vowed never to work with Lee Marvin again wasn't just venting frustration, it was a reaction to the sheer chaos Marvin brought to the set. In interviews years later, this unnamed actor painted a vivid picture of the tension on set. Marvin's unpredictable moods and penchant for arriving intoxicated made every day a gamble. Would they get through filming smoothly, or would Marvin's antics derail production yet again? One of the most telling stories from the set involved Marvin deliberately antagonizing crew members. He reportedly turned a simple scene into a multi-hour ordeal because he wasn't feeling it. The delays weren't just inconvenient, they cost the studio thousands of dollars per hour. For his co-star, the breaking point came when Marvin hurled a prop across the set in frustration, narrowly missing another actor. From that moment on, the relationship was irreparably broken. Interestingly, other actors defended Marvin. They suggested that his behavior stemmed from deeper issues, such as lingering trauma from his time in the Marines. They argued that his erratic behavior wasn't mere arrogance, but a reflection of a man grappling with inner demons. This perspective humanizes Marvin, offering a glimpse into the complexities of a star who lived a life filled with both brilliance and turmoil. The fallout from Marvin's 1966 on-set drama divided Hollywood into two camps. On one side were those who believed Marvin's talent justified his behavior. After all, wasn't this the same man who delivered unforgettable performances in The Dirty Dozen and Point Blank? These supporters argued that Marvin's unpredictability was part of his charm, a chaotic energy that translated into magnetic on-screen performances. On the other side were the critics, studio executives, directors, and co-stars who had grown weary of his antics. For them, Marvin represented the darker side of Hollywood stardom, where indulgence and ego often outweighed professionalism. This camp pushed for stricter regulations, arguing that even stars of Marvin's caliber needed to be held accountable. The result was a subtle shift in Hollywood culture. Studios began to implement stricter oversight, and actors were increasingly required to adhere to behavioral clauses in their contracts. While Marvin wasn't solely responsible for this change, his high-profile scandal became a key example of why such measures were necessary. For audiences, Marvin's bad boy image only added to his allure. Fans devoured tabloid stories about his escapades, from drunken brawls to rumored feuds with directors. Far from damaging his career, these tales turned him into a larger-than-life figure. Marvin wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol of rebellion, a man who lived by his own rules in an industry known for its rigid expectations. In many ways, Marvin's appeal lay in his relatability. He wasn't polished or perfect like some of his contemporaries. Instead, he was raw, flawed, and unapologetically human. Audiences saw a bit of themselves in his struggles, and this connection kept them coming back to his films. even during his most controversial moments. The years following the 1966 scandal marked a period of reflection for Lee Marvin. While he continued to struggle with personal issues, there were signs that he was trying to change. Colleagues noted that Marvin became more introspective, taking on roles that required greater emotional depth. Films like Emperor of the North and The Big Red One showcased a different side of Marvin, a man who could channel his own life experiences into compelling, nuanced performances. Privately, Marvin began to distance himself from some of the behaviors that had caused so much trouble in the past. Though he never fully abandoned his hard-living lifestyle, he seemed to recognize the importance of balance. In interviews, Marvin spoke candidly about his past mistakes, acknowledging the toll they had taken on his career and his relationships. As the years went on, Lee Marvin's reputation as both a brilliant actor and a Hollywood maverick solidified. His performances continued to captivate audiences, and his personal story became a source of fascination for fans and historians alike. Today, Marvin is remembered not just for his iconic roles, but for the impact he had on Hollywood as a whole. His life serves as a reminder of the complexities of stardom. Marvin was a man of contradictions, a hero and a rebel, a talent and a troublemaker. Yet it is these very contradictions that make his story so compelling. For all his flaws, Marvin's authenticity shone through, both on and off the screen. One of Lee Marvin's most enduring contributions to cinema was his role in shaping the archetype of the anti-hero. Before Marvin, Hollywood heroes were often portrayed as flawless, noble figures. But Marvin's gritty, complex characters broke that mold. He brought an edge to his roles, portraying men who were deeply flawed, yet undeniably compelling. His performance in Point Blank as Walker, a cold, revenge-driven man betrayed by his own, is a prime example. Marvin's portrayal of morally ambiguous characters influenced generations of actors, from Clint Eastwood to Robert De Niro. Marvin's characters were a reflection of the times. The 1960s and 1970s were periods of cultural upheaval marked by anti-establishment sentiments and a desire for more realistic storytelling. Marvin's tough, no-nonsense persona resonated with audiences who were looking for something real, something raw. In many ways, Marvin wasn't just acting. He was channeling his own life experiences into his performances, blurring the line between the man and the character. Behind the scenes, Lee Marvin's relationships were as complex as his characters. Friends and colleagues described him as fiercely loyal, but also unpredictable. Those who knew him best often spoke of two versions of Marvin: the charming, generous man who could light up a room, and the volatile figure whose temper could flare without warning. One of the most significant relationships in Marvin's life was with his wife, Pamela Feely. Their marriage was far from perfect, but Pamela played a key role in grounding Marvin during his more turbulent years. She was a stabilizing force, offering support and encouragement as Marvin navigated the highs and lows of his career. However, like many Hollywood marriages of the time, theirs was tested by the pressures of fame and Marvin's erratic lifestyle. Marvin also had a complex relationship with his fellow actors. While some admired his talent and charisma, others found his behavior difficult to handle. Yet even his harshest critics couldn't deny his brilliance. As one director put it, working with Lee Marvin could be a nightmare, but watching him on screen made it all worth it. Lee Marvin's life was a study in contradictions. He was a war hero who carried deep scars, both physical and emotional. He was a Hollywood star who often seemed uncomfortable with the trappings of fame. He was a man of immense talent who sometimes let his demons get the better of him. But through it all, Marvin remained true to himself, a quality that set him apart in an industry that often demands conformity. As we look back on Marvin's story, it's clear that his impact goes far beyond his films. He challenged conventional notions of heroism, brought depth to his characters, and lived a life that was as dramatic as any of his roles. Whether you admire him for his talent, his resilience, or his authenticity, one thing is certain: Lee Marvin was one of a kind. His legacy is a testament to the power of storytelling, both on and off the screen. And as long as there are audiences who crave real, raw, and unforgettable performances, Lee Marvin's name will continue to resonate.